Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, The Conscious Reform. My name is Taylin Peoples. I'm so glad you're joining me. And today we are going to speak about grounding because that's what I'm currently doing. I tend to find myself in spaces where I am caught spiraling. I can be spiraling upwards or I can be spiraling downwards in descension. But essentially, a spiral can be centered in the body or the mind. Most of the time for me these days, it's in the mind. So it's often around thoughts and ideas and future outcomes, or even the outcomes of the past and how they're affecting me in the future, affecting me right now. And on the other spectrum, the body can spiral in the sense that your nervous system can become extremely exhausted by what it's having to process and digest, emotionally or physically, what we're eating, or what the overall energy is around us and the environments we find ourselves with and the people that we are interacting with. That all comes with a certain energy signature that we are susceptible to. And if our body catches a certain emotion or a parasite or extremely processed food, our nervous system and our digestive system can become exhausted to the point that it's spiraling downwards. But in the same sense, the food that we're putting ourselves in, the environments that we're finding ourselves in, the people that we're interacting with and relating to, it can also spiral upwards where we begin feeling lighter in our bodies. We feel stronger, we feel more vitality. So in each scenario, to balance out one or the other, because we can get to what's commonly understood as up in the clouds in our minds and in our bodies. We can become too spiraled upwards, where we're constantly thinking about the what ifs and the potential outcomes, and all these ideas are flooding in, and there's a lack of integration, and so we're kind of just living in this like cloud nine scenario that's not in our physical reality yet. And same thing with the body, when we are constantly putting ourselves in high vibrational environments, constantly going to yoga classes or breathwork classes or spiritual retreats or, church 5 days out of the week. It's not just a new age thing. It's a whatever religion or spiritual practice you identify yourself with that you've found a community in, like, that can become a situation where we begin to lose our sense of identity and at the stake of claiming a identity that brings us a sense of belonging. Like, there's like how herd immunity works, the 1%, as long as everybody's getting their vaccinations, the 1% that may be immune and compromised or simply don't align with the beliefs of getting a vaccination, the 99% removes that 1%. The we can remove the I in a group setting if it's not balanced out with grounding. And it's the same thing for the other spectrum, descent spiraling. grounding is like that, what I call Mediensima, which is median and then a Spanish derivative root of sema. And it essentially just means those two roots put together, Latin roots. It essentially just means the act of being extremely in the middle, or the essence of healing. So grounding and grounding practices is fundamental in the sense that one can only find grounding once they have decided upon themselves in their own eye that this is what I need in order to progress into we, or to progress into this integration process for this idea, or to move from this state of being that I no longer find myself fitting into a higher state of being. Grounding is like the glue between those cracks that we have in our sense of who we are. So that's what I'm doing right now. I've spent a lot of time expanding my worldview and understanding new concepts, and I do spend a lot of my time doing that. But I also ground myself with letting my body kind of take over after moments like that, in the sense that if I'm experiencing an ache or having trouble breathing, really trouble breathing, but just I notice that my breathing is shallow, like I will use that as my guide on how to move next. And so I get out of my mind, I balance out the upward spiral of my mind by grounding myself into the descending spiral of my body. And I can do that with a variety of ways, but everybody is unique, and you are unique, and the moment that you're in right now, watching me speak about this, and the moment that I'm in right now, talking about this, I'm needing different things than I would have had I done this video 3 days ago. And it's important that we at least are willing to move through whatever it is that our body or our minds might be needing. So if I'm caught in a upward spiral or a downward spiral in the mind, grounding will bring me back to baseline. And there I can decide to move forward, but first I need to find that baseline. And so I can do that by sipping a cup of coffee or drinking a cup of coffee while not doing anything else, which I haven't been doing lately, but I can do that by moving into somatic stretches. So moving my body where I feel the pain and kind of just seeing how far I can take it to trigger that one source pain spot that I'm feeling. And so I've been doing that a lot more, moving through the somatic processing of everything. And another thing is just spending time out in nature, being with my dog or any kind of animal, looking for insects. Not even, you don't even have to look for them. You just have to notice them, because they'll fly, they'll come, they're in our environment. If we put ourselves outside, chances are you're going to see a bug, and you can kind of spend your time looking into that and what it means. So that's the integration process after grounding. You made the choice to go outside. That was a choice of grounding. You made the choice to be present in the moment. That was a choice of grounding. And so now when you notice things, you can kind of stay in that in-between space of noticing and interpreting, what it could possibly mean for where you're at in your journey, while also taking a step back, re-grounding and noticing again. And so you can kind of stay in that sweet spot where you're kind of bouncing back and forth And if you think about the helix structure of the DNA, we have these parallels that are in between each of the outward spiral of the molecule. And that's kind of where you find the state of Mediensima, or the state of healing, is being able to stay having an upward and a downward spiral, but staying in those parallels of bouncing back and forth between the two spirals to keep them together and to keep them balanced. So I have no idea if that will make sense to anyone, but it kind of just came on the fly. I've never recorded something on my laptop, and I'm kind of liking it. I like it. It looks good. But I'm in the process of studying American government, so I'm going to get back to doing that. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Conscious Reform. Stay tuned for more. I'm just going to be posting along as I go along my journey. All right. Adios.